You've been told to be nice, to give, to forgive, to never say no. They told you kindness is a virtue, that the world needs more gentle souls. So you held the door open. You stayed late to help. You sacrificed your time, your peace, even your boundaries, all in the name of being a good person. But what if I told you this? Your kindness, the very thing they praise, could be the reason you feel drained, unappreciated, and quietly resentful. What if the more you give, the more they take? What if the world doesn't reward kindness with kindness, but with disrespect, manipulation, and emotional burnout? You see, too much kindness without wisdom isn't virtue. It's a trap that leaves you emotionally exhausted, surrounded by takers, and wondering why no one shows up for you the way you show up for them. But here's the truth the Stoics knew centuries ago. Kindness without strength is not virtue, it's self-neglect. Welcome to Stoic Spirit, where we help you reclaim your power, your boundaries, and your peace through timeless Stoic wisdom. In this video, you'll uncover 7 emotional traps that being too nice sets up for you, and more importantly, how to escape each one with calm, clarity, and confidence. If you value truth over comfort, strength over people-pleasing, and peace over performance, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, support the mission, and let's dive in. 1. The Reciprocity Trap, expecting others to give like you do. You give your time, your energy, your heart. You show up for people when they need you, even if it means canceling your own plans, pushing through exhaustion, or putting yourself last. And deep down, whether you admit it or not, you expect something in return. Not money, not praise, but effort, gratitude. Some sign that they care as much as you do. You believe in fairness, in balance, in the unspoken social contract. If I show up for you, you'll show up for me. That feels logical, human. But here's the truth. Most people don't operate on logic, they operate on convenience. Most people aren't wired to match your emotional investment. They're wired to take what's given and move on. That's not evil. That's just how the world works when you give from emotion instead of intention. Seneca once said, "He who gives should not remember. He who receives should never forget." That's the Stoic way, to give without keeping score, to love without chains, and to help without the hidden hope of reciprocity. Because the moment your kindness becomes a contract, your peace becomes a hostage. You thought they'd remember your birthday because you remembered theirs. You thought they'd support you because you supported them through their darkest season. But when they don't, it hurts. Not because you're selfish, but because you're human. You feel invisible, unseen, used. That's the trap. You believe people owe you. The truth? They don't. Not everyone has your heart. Not everyone gives like you. And not everyone will even notice the weight you carry for them. The Stoic doesn't give to be appreciated. He gives because it's aligned with who he is. That's where his power lies, in the clarity that his virtue is his own reward. The moment you stop giving to earn love and start giving from integrity, you reclaim your peace. Escape the trap by giving without expectation. Give like the sun gives light, freely, without demand. Not because others deserve it, but because you do. Because generosity is your nature, not your strategy. And when you give from that place, you're untouchable, even when they forget. 2. The good guy trap, being liked over being respected. You don't want to cause waves. You avoid confrontation like the plague. You say yes when your soul is screaming no, and you smile politely when your boundaries are being bulldozed. Why? Because you want to be liked. You believe that if you're kind enough, generous enough, agreeable enough, people will like you. And if they like you, maybe they won't leave. Maybe they'll treat you better. Maybe you'll finally feel valued. You trade pieces of your authenticity for scraps of approval, and you call it kindness. But here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't respect pushovers. They use them. They test how far they can go. And every time you let something slide, every time you tolerate disrespect in the name of being the good guy, you train people to see you as less valuable, less strong, less worthy of serious consideration. Over time, people stop asking for your opinion. They start assuming you'll just go along with anything. And eventually, the very people you worked so hard to please stop seeing you altogether. Marcus Aurelius said, Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And being a good man or a good woman doesn't mean being soft. It doesn't mean being spineless. It means being rooted in your principles, even when it makes others uncomfortable. It means choosing truth over popularity. And it means having the courage to say, I will not abandon myself just to make you comfortable. A Stoic doesn't chase approval. He doesn't live to be liked. He lives to be aligned with truth, with reason, with virtue, because respect is earned not by being nice, but by being real, consistent, grounded, and unwavering. When you constantly compromise your needs, your time, and your values to please others, you don't become lovable, you become forgettable. People remember strength, not submission. Replace the need to be liked with the courage to be respected. The world might not applaud you for it, but deep down, they'll feel it. They'll know you're not someone to be walked over. Say what you mean. Set the boundary. Speak with clarity, not apology. Lose their approval if you must, but never lose your integrity. Because in the end, being liked fades. But being respected, that's what echoes. 3. The Savior Trap. Fixing people who don't want to be saved. You see someone drowning, not in water, but in chaos, drama, and self-inflicted misery. And you, with your big heart, jump in without hesitation. You offer support, advice, solutions. You carry their emotional weight like it's your responsibility. You sacrifice sleep, sanity, even your finances to help them stand again. You want to be the one who saves them. But here's what you haven't realized. Some people don't want to be saved. They want to stay broken. Not because they love the pain, but because the pain has become their identity. Their chaos gives them meaning. Their victimhood gives them attention. Healing would require them to take responsibility, and they're not ready for that. You try harder. You give them second chances, then 10th chances. You lend them books they never read. You recommend therapy they never go to. You think maybe if I just love them more, they'll change. But they don't. And when nothing changes, you blame yourself. You feel like you failed, like your love wasn't enough. But the truth is, you can't save someone who's addicted to their suffering. And when you try, you don't heal them, you enable them, you shield them from the consequences of their choices. You become their emotional crutch. And in doing so, you sacrifice your own peace. Epictetus warned, don't promise that something is within your power when it isn't. And here's the hard Stoic truth. Changing another person is not within your power. You cannot force someone to grow. You cannot carry someone who chooses to crawl. All you can do is show up, once, maybe twice, with love, with honesty. But if they keep rejecting growth, if they keep choosing the storm, you must walk away. Not out of cruelty, not out of pride, but out of wisdom. Because every minute you spend dragging someone who refuses to walk is a minute you're not walking your own path. Escape the Savior Trap by offering help, then stepping back. Offer once with heart, but never beg to be their solution. Let your kindness be clear, and your boundaries even clearer. If they want out, they'll climb. If not, let them sink on their own terms. Because dragging someone uphill only guarantees one thing: you'll both fall. And that's not compassion. That's self-destruction. If you've made it this far, and this message is resonating with you, take a second to hit that subscribe button. Your support truly helps us grow this channel and keep creating videos that bring Stoic wisdom into the real, emotional challenges of life. It may seem like a small click, but it means everything to us. Thank you for being here. Now, let's continue. 4. The Self-Betrayal Trap. Abandoning yourself for others. You skip your workout to help a friend move. You delay your sleep to answer another late-night emotional crisis. You cancel your plans, postpone your passions, and say, it's okay, I've got it, even when your world is already falling apart. Why? Because deep down you believe your needs come last. You think putting others before yourself is noble. That self-sacrifice equals goodness. You've been taught that the more you give up, the more virtuous you are. But that's not virtue. It's self-erasure. What starts as kindness becomes a slow, silent disappearance. Your hobbies forgotten, your dreams delayed, your well-being depleted, your voice muted. You become a ghost, present for everyone except yourself. And the worst part, nobody even notices, because you trained them not to. The Stoics would call this a betrayal of reason. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That includes the power to protect your energy, to prioritize your purpose, and to respect your own needs as sacred. And if you truly respect your mind, your energy, your purpose, you won't abandon them to earn love or keep peace. You'll guard them like a temple, because your life isn't meant to be sacrificed piece by piece for people who don't even ask how you're doing. And if you keep giving everything away, there will be nothing left when you need someone. Putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's strategic. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't guide others if you're lost. You can't be the strong one if you're always the tired one. Self-neglect is not humility. It's slow suicide. Escape the self-betrayal trap by making your needs non-negotiable. Start with the basics. Rest, movement, silence, boundaries. Reclaim your time and treat it like gold. If someone doesn't respect that, they don't respect you. Show up for yourself first. Fill your cup to the brim. Then, and only then, give from the overflow. That's not selfish. That's stoic. 5. The Martyr Trap. Taking pride in suffering for others. You say, "It's okay, I'll handle it." You say, "I don't mind. I'll stay late." You smile and reply, "I don't expect anything in return." And maybe on the surface you believe that. Maybe you've convinced yourself that you're just a kind, giving person who's happy to carry the load. But if you're honest, deep down, you're keeping score. Every unspoken expectation, every moment you swallowed your truth, every time you helped when you didn't want to, it stacks up inside you like a quiet storm. And one day, you erupt. You say, "I've done everything for you, and you don't even care." You cry, you break down, and you feel betrayed. But the betrayal didn't start with them. It started with you. Because when you constantly give out of obligation but pretend it's out of love, you create a fake image of yourself. You're not being virtuous, you're being a martyr. And Stoicism is not a philosophy of martyrs. The Stoics warned against anything that disrupts your inner balance, including emotional contracts disguised as kindness. When you wear your sacrifices like badges, when you secretly crave recognition for the things you claim to do selflessly, you're not acting from virtue, you're acting from need. And need, when ignored, turns to resentment. A real Stoic gives without keeping receipts. He doesn't broadcast his suffering. He doesn't build his identity around how much he's endured for others. Because that's not strength, that's ego hiding in noble clothing. Let's be clear, if it drains your soul, it's not kindness. It's a transaction, one where you're hoping someone will validate your pain. But if you need to be seen as the one who sacrifices, ask yourself, are you really helping or are you trying to feel needed? And here's the deeper danger. When you become a martyr long enough, people begin to believe you like it. They start to expect it. They stop offering help. They stop asking if you're okay. Because in their eyes, you've made suffering your role. And once that role defines you, it's very hard to step out of it without feeling guilty. Stoicism calls us not to glorify pain, but to endure it with purpose. And if your pain comes from self-abandonment disguised as kindness, that's not noble, that's avoidable. Escape the martyr trap by being radically honest with yourself. Stop offering your time, energy, and life just to be appreciated. Choose to give from overflow, not obligation. Help because you want to, not because you're trying to prove your worth. Set boundaries not to push people away, but to stay anchored in your truth. Because the world doesn't need more silent martyrs. It needs conscious, wholehearted humans who know how to give without losing themselves. 6. The attraction trap. Drawing in takers, not givers. You're kind, you're dependable, you're always there when someone needs help. You answer the call. You reply to the late-night message. You rearrange your schedule, sacrifice your plans, and show up, over and over again. And at first that seems admirable, but soon, a pattern emerges. People start expecting you to always be available. And more often than not, those people only show up when they need something. They don't ask how you're doing. They don't check in unless there's a problem to unload. They don't give, they take. Again and again. Like moths to a flame, these emotional opportunists are drawn to your light, not because they admire it, but because they want to use it to warm themselves. You wonder why your relationships feel so one-sided, why you're constantly surrounded by people who drain you. But here's the answer. When you're too available, too generous, too open, you attract takers, not givers. Not because kindness is bad, but because boundaries are missing. The Stoics taught that your energy is sacred. It is a limited, precious resource, and you have a duty to protect it. Just as you wouldn't let someone walk into your house and take whatever they want, you shouldn't let people invade your emotional space without accountability. Most people won't police themselves. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Not because they're evil, but because you never showed them where the edge was. You taught them that you're fine being taken for granted. You trained them to come only when they need something. So they do. And let's go even deeper. The more you give without discernment, the more you lower your standards for connection. Your boundaries blur, your standards shrink, and before long, you've created a life full of lopsided connections. People who take, and you who justifies it. But relationships built on convenience will collapse in adversity. When you need support, these people will vanish. Not because they're cruel, but because they were never built to stay. They were there for the benefit, not the bond. Escape the attraction trap by filtering your circle with ruthless clarity. Ask, do they only show up when they need something? Do they celebrate you when you shine, or disappear when you succeed? Do they add value, or just extract it? Learn to say no with confidence, to go silent without guilt, and to walk away without drama. Because the right people won't need constant access to prove they care. They'll respect your space, your time, and your boundaries. And the rest, let them go. Because if you don't protect your energy, someone else will gladly consume it for their gain. 7. The guilt trap. Feeling bad when you put yourself first. You finally say no. You finally cancel the plans you didn't want in the first place. You finally decide to rest instead of overextend. You finally put yourself first. And then, guilt shows up. Not because you did something wrong, but because somewhere along the way, you were trained to believe that your needs come last. That saying yes to yourself means saying no to your value as a person. That choosing yourself is selfish. But here's what no one told you. That kind of guilt? It's not moral. It's manufactured. It was programmed into you by a culture that profits from your exhaustion. A world that claps when you give endlessly, but disappears when you collapse. You feel bad for resting. You feel bad for drawing boundaries. You feel bad for not answering that late-night text. Why? Because you think your worth is tied to what you do for others. But let's be very clear. Self-care is not selfish. It's strategic. It's stoic. It's essential. The Stoics didn't believe in indulgence, but they believed in discipline. And discipline includes protecting your energy, your time, and your mental space. Marcus Aurelius didn't sacrifice his peace for popularity. Epictetus didn't bend his will to please the crowd. They knew you can't live with virtue if you're constantly betraying yourself. Still, the guilt whispers, what if they think I'm selfish? What if they get upset? What if they walk away? Let them. Because if someone leaves just because you finally prioritized your mental health, they were never truly for you. And if your presence is only appreciated when it's convenient for them, it's time to reevaluate the relationship, not your worth. You were not born to be everyone's solution. You were not created to be a permanent emotional support system. You are not a resource. You are a human being, and if you don't put yourself first, no one else will. No one is coming to rescue you from your burnout. No one will clap for the way you silently suffer. No one will say thank you for the moments you abandoned yourself to make their life easier. That kind of invisible martyrdom isn't noble, it's dangerous. Escape the guilt trap by rewriting the narrative. Saying yes to yourself is not a crime, it's a necessity. It's a declaration that you matter. It's a reminder that you are not here to serve everyone. You are here to serve your purpose. And that purpose requires strength, clarity, and boundaries, not guilt. You can still be kind, you can still be generous, but let your giving come from a full cup, not a bleeding heart. You are not obligated to exhaust yourself to prove your goodness. In fact, the people who truly value you won't want you to. So say no, not with shame, but with confidence. Walk away, not with guilt, but with grace. Because every time you choose yourself, you're not abandoning others. You're simply refusing to abandon you. Now that you've seen the cost of misdirected kindness, what does real strength look like? Being kind isn't a weakness. It's a beautiful part of being human. But kindness without wisdom? That's not virtue. That's self-abandonment. That's a recipe for emotional exhaustion, manipulation, and quiet regret. The Stoics didn't tell us to stop giving. They told us to give with intention, with clarity, with strength. They taught us that kindness is only noble when it doesn't cost you your dignity. So the next time you feel that impulse to help, to say yes, to carry the weight for someone else, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this coming from love or from fear? Is this an act of virtue or another form of self-betrayal? Because when your kindness comes at the expense of your peace, your health, or your identity, it's no longer kindness. It's a silent cry for validation, and no one will hear it. You are not here to burn yourself out just to keep others warm. You're here to grow, to serve your purpose, to protect your energy like the sacred flame it is. And if you ever forget, remember the Stoic rule, one that could save your soul from 1,000 silent sacrifices. Give from strength, not from sacrifice. If this message stirred something in you, if you've seen yourself in these traps, you're not alone. You're not weak, you're just waking up. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, the kind that doesn't just sound good, but changes how you live. Share your thoughts below. Which trap resonated most with you? What have you learned about your own kindness? One choice at a time. This is Stoic Spirit, where strength meets stillness, where clarity replaces chaos, and where peace begins, not with pleasing others, but with power over yourself.